This is a tutorial on how to add weak security to a Shiny application. We're going to store the application secret in an environmental variable on the server and use that for authentication. You should use this technique only if the information that you're trying to gate is not valuable. I've already added the Shiny package with UV. I'm going to set up the assignment to the app_UI variable just to set up the shell framework. Then we're going to instantiate the application along with the server and then start the application and just give it a quick test. Once you have the UI.pageFluid, you can use the Shiny UI package to specify things like H1. So we're going to have a title for our page, which is login demo. Application consists of two screens. The first screen will be the login page. If it passes authentication, it's going to go into the application page. Both of the pages will be very bare bones, but you could build it out and put whatever you want on it. The purpose is to show you quick and fast and weak security. You can swap out for stronger security in the future once you understand the basic concept. Okay, so let's configure the server. The Shiny application consists of the UI portion and the backend server. The server is input, output, and session as the parameters. We'll use the input and output. I'll initially put a pass, which is a placeholder to indicate that it's an empty function at this stage. We'll have app, so the capital A app is from Shiny. We're going to pass it the UI that we just created as well as the Shiny server. To enable the play button, I'm going to rename the main.py application to app.py. This should enable the Shiny extension that I have on this editor, Positron, to work. So now when I press play, it'll open it up in a window pane on the right. I'm now going to import the OS package from Python. With the OS package, I can grab the environmental variable of the base system. So in my case, I'm running on Linux, but this will work on other operating systems as well too. I'm going to assign the app secret to a Python constant. I'm going to grab the environmental variable from os.getenv, and there's a environmental variable name, which I'm going to set on my local development workstation and on the server. That variable for the local operating system is going to be called app secret. So I'm going to go into the terminal down here, and then on the command line, I'm going to export the variable name. This is using the shell command export. This step is to avoid the situation where you hard code the password into the code. We're setting the environmental variable, which cannot be read from a normal user, even if they have access to the code. And the application will then read in this hidden environmental variable from the environment. When we deploy the application, we'll also set up these secret variables on the server. As a quick test to make sure that we can read in the environmental variable, I'm going to print out the app secret from os.getenv. I need to start the server again after I set the environmental variable. So I'm just going to do it again. Export app secret. So this should be saved in your session. I think that play button might be starting a new session. Okay, so I've exported it and now I'm running it. I use the up arrow to run the Shiny application. Okay, to actually grab the environmental variable, I'm going to restart the browser. So I refreshed it, and now we can see that we are getting this environmental variable into our application. So with the environmental variable now within our application, we first make sure you want to delete that print statement so that it's not, you don't have your password in your logs. And then we're going to set up a login screen. So it's a screen that we'll have in Shiny. And we'll put some input text here for the password. I have AI autocomplete on here, so that's why it filled it in so quickly. We actually don't need that username. Okay, so I've set up the function for login screen that's on the server portion that's returning this element, this UI.div in Shiny. To make it appear on the screen, I'm going to go to the app_UI variable. So we're using UI.pageFluid here. That's being passed over to the app when it instantiates. So we're using the name of the function, that login_screen, as the connector. And so we pass the UI.output_UI, this login screen. Also on the server on line 11, we use the decorator output, which we're receiving when we instantiate the app. So the server on the parameters, it grabs this output. And to actually render it, we use the decorator at render.ui, which we import from Shiny here. And the button here on line 17 is the AI autocomplete failed. It's actually input_action_button. Now we have the username and password. So we don't need the username. I'll just delete it. Right, now that we have the login screen here with the password, we can now accept the password from the screen and then compare it to the environmental variable secret. So there's just one password that we're sharing with a limited number of people. Maybe you want to password protect, just some pictures or something that's not super valuable and not super confidential. I guess the ideal thing is you have your portfolio that you want to show a future employer, but you don't want to make it public. So maybe your friends might criticize it or something. You just don't want to show them the full thing. Okay, Shiny has this thing called Reactive, and we're using this as a form of, it's like a global variable that changes when certain actions take place that uses this. So it's a type of reactive variable. So the Shiny framework tracks to see where you would use error or auth for like authenticated. And when it uses it, then it updates the value in this storage that it has internally. The authed or auth variable is a Boolean variable. It's going to be true or false. In Python, we can just use it in an if statement. Python has this nice keyword not. So if not auth, and then it uses a getter. So it's auth.get with these round brackets. So if it's, when it gets it, it's going to be true or false, right? So if it's true, it's going to jump past this section here. It's only when it's not true, so when it's false, that it will display this UI.div section. So you won't get the login screen if the application has already been authenticated. And we'll have a red error here, style color red. But initially this error is blank because we set the error, which is one of these reactive variables, to, it's a blank string initially, so it doesn't appear. If you look at the if statement, so if it's not authenticated, then it's going to go into this login screen. But if it is authenticated, it's going to jump past that and it'll show the main application. If you would extend the application out, you'd probably put the main application in a separate file. But for this quick test or this quick demonstration here, so you can learn the concepts of environmental variables, reactive variables, we're just putting it all in this one file right now. We're going to apply the reactive effect to this next Python function, which is called check_login. Remember, we've set the app secret, which we pulled from the environmental variable with os.getEnv. So we have the app secret within our application at this point. Then we are going to get the password. That input.password is from that password box which we created in the UI. So it's just a Boolean check. If the input equals the app secret, then we're going to set the auth.set to true with a setter, and we're going to set the error to null. And because we are using the reactive effect, when we change the value of the auth and the error, it's going to re-render the rest of the portions of the application that use that variable. That's what this reactive variable does. It only updates those portions of the screen for performance reasons that require it. So it's kind of a nice architecture. Okay, so we can test it with the known password that we have on the local operating system that we're using for testing. Remember, the password is not hard-coded into our application. So when we deploy it, we're going to set another password. Then you would share this password with your, for example, potential employer, your friends, relatives, that type of thing. Or maybe you're collaborating with people, you don't want to release your application yet. So it's kind of it's a weak security here. I'm emphasizing that it's weak because a lot of people doing data science, they might be dealing with some pretty valuable data. If the data is like a public census or something and you're doing a map overlay, it's completely fine, right? Because even if someone gets the data, there's no problem. But if you're like in pharma or finance and your data has some value, don't use this technique. Just use it locally for practice so that you can understand the process of one form of authentication and then choose a stronger authentication for actual deployment. So this is kind of a weak, this is only for like you're learning or you have something that you want to share and you're not concerned if the data were actually to be breached. And since I'm going to deploy it, I think I'll put even another warning here, and just to let people know that even if there is a password here and the password's environmental variable is not hard-coded, it's still not the best way to do the security. Okay, let's deploy it. So I've selected the Posit publisher. It's a extension on VS Code Cursor, and this is Positron, so it's already built in. I'm going to create a new deployment. I already have created a free account on Posit Connect Cloud. So I haven't put any credit card or anything in there. It's free. And I need to actually create a requirements.txt. And so in the bottom portion of my terminal here, because I used UV and not pip, there's no requirements.txt that I'm using in this workflow. However, the deployment process with Shiny Connect Cloud does require it. So I'm going to export the requirements.txt using the UV tool, and I'll deploy it now. So with that simple requirements.txt, I just have this one file, app.py. This extension handles all the rest of the steps here. It's quite nice. So now I have on the, so now this is public. It's not running locally. It's a URL you can share. I can't log in because I haven't set up the actual environmental variable on the server. So I'm going to go to the dashboard home. I click those three dots, and there's like a variables here with a lock on it. So it's the secret variables that is only accessible on the server. So people won't be able to see this unless they log into your account on Posit. So we're leveraging the access control on the Posit Connect Cloud here so that you can set the app secret. And so now that it's set, you have to redeploy it. And when you redeploy it, the environmental variable, or the variables, I guess they're just calling it variables, on the server are now available. And now we can log in and access our application. One of the things that you can do, which I'm doing myself, is to record your fly fishing catches at different places around the world. So I've set up a map using iPy leaflet, and I've set up some markers using the GPS coordinates from the photos I've took of some of the catches. And we have released the catches as well too. So now when you log in here, it just says example. I'm using iPy leaflet for the mapping portion. And this is the Hot Creek area in the Eastern Sierra. This is a catch and release area only, barbless hooks. You can only use flies as well too. So you hike in, and there's a river here. And this is kind of, I don't want it to be super public or everyone go to the same destination, but I'm not particularly concerned if someone gets this information.